The ghost of a murdered young woman is haunting her family. Don't miss out. Who imprisoned the victim's spirit and why? The psychics will reveal the horrifying secret. You are watching Psychic Investigations, a channel of true and astonishing stories. Here, people who call themselves clairvoyants investigate resonant criminal cases and unbelievable paranormal anomalies. Jana Shevchenko sees the ghost of her only daughter, Yana, in her apartment every day. Yana was murdered and the criminal was caught. The police had a witness who gave them the suspect. But immediately after the arrest, the girl's spirit started appearing to all her family members. The victim's mother is desperate. Why does her daughter keep coming? Hasn't the family done everything possible to ensure the murderer was punished? Eventually, Jana wrote a letter to our editorial office.
I feel like Yana is trying to tell me something. Is she upset with me about something? Is it possible we didn't do everything we could during the investigation or overlooked something? I don't even understand if it's related to her murder. Please help me.
The news of Yana's gruesome murder made it to all the national media.
The victim had her skull fractured and multiple stab wounds all over her body.
Jana's daughter was only 26. The young woman lived alone in a recently purchased apartment, running her own small business, selling clothes online. She was a true beauty and a people's person.
She was a kind and reliable person, someone you could always count on.
Every day, Yana's mother relives the events leading up to and following her daughter's death. On June 28th, her grandmother saw Yana alive for the last time. As usual, she dropped by for a visit since they lived next door to each other.
It was a Friday. She dropped by at about 5 p.m. and brought me a bouquet of little roses.
Yana promised to visit again the next day, but she never showed up. Her grandmother tried calling her that day and the following day, but her phone was out of reach.
Mom was worried. She called me and said, I can't reach Yana.
Yana's mother and grandmother went to her apartment, but she wasn't home.
She wasn't home. Her bed was made and everything was intact.
After Yana's disappearance, her family turned the whole city upside down looking for her.
Back then, we couldn't even think that our daughter was murdered.
When it became clear that none of Yana's friends had seen her, her family reported to the police.
But there were no results.
On July 8th, Jana was supposed to celebrate her birthday with her daughter, but instead, she was searching for her. The distraught mother pleaded with God for her child to be found.
I'll remember for the rest of my life that on my birthday, I was searching for my child while she lay in the ground.
Yana was found on the 10th day of the search, in a wooded area near her home. She was badly mutilated.
They called me and said, "We found your daughter."
The brutality of the murder was shocking. Approximately 30 blows to the head with a blunt object and 16 stab wounds.
Her skull was fractured. And when they lifted her shirt, there were stab wounds all over her neck.
The body was mutilated so badly that her family only recognized Yana by her belongings.
When I saw her leggings, which I bought for her, everything fell apart in me.
It turned out that a few days after Yana's disappearance, a young man reported to the police that he'd witnessed the crime. He told them where to find her body, and even gave the police the name of the murderer who took her life.
The murderer turned out to be a minor, a 16-year-old student of the local trade school.
Yana's family had seen the suspect before. His name is Danilo, and he's Yana's neighbor. He lived with his parents, who were quite wealthy and well off.
It's a normal family. We were in such shock that we couldn't compose ourselves.
According to the police, the girl went to her neighbors to borrow money. She needed it for the treatment of her boyfriend, who suffered from diabetes, and, due to a sharp drop in insulin levels, fell into a coma.
He had been in a coma in the intensive care for a few days.
Yana's mother believes her daughter didn't want to borrow money from her relatives because they had recently helped her buy the apartment, so she went to her neighbors instead. According to the police, the son of Yana's neighbors said his parents weren't home, but he would give her the necessary amount himself. The witness was present during the conversation. This is what he told the police about the criminal.
He suggested that the victim waited for him, then went inside, took a wooden club, and when he returned without explanation, he struck her several times on the head and then stabbed her multiple times.
According to the police, the teenager committed such a brutal act under the influence of drugs and was unable to clearly explain his motive.
This suspect has been detained as a precautionary measure.
The suspected murderer of Yana will not escape punishment. However, Yana's mother is convinced that her daughter is troubled by something on the other side, as she has been sending strange signs to her family since her death.
A bird flew into my window. That is, these are all very strange signs.
Soon after, Yana's mother started seeing her ghost in broad daylight.
She turned her head like this and looked at me, and her face, all emaciated. It was terrifying.
Yana's family asks the psychics to find out why Yana is visiting them from the other side and what's bothering her.
Hopefully, they can help us sort this out.
The psychics Hayal Alekperov and Jana Shulakova responded to their request.
I worked with Yana's photo and had a strange dream that night. I saw her in a dark room. She was huddled in the corner, unable to get out, as if she were in a cage.
Unbelievably, Yana's mother later told our journalists that she had seen an identical dream.
She appeared to me in a room all cut up. I said, "Yana, what happened?" And she backed away from me, hiding in the corner, terrified. It was pure, unadulterated fear.
Perhaps she was trying to tell us something about her murder. Could she have been held against her will somewhere?
However, according to the police, the suspect did not hold Yana captive anywhere. Could the police have made a mistake? Did they miss something? Or did they detain the wrong person?
In my dream, I heard Yana's voice, a soft whisper, not the murderer. Could she be trying to say that the detained young man didn't kill her, and the real murderer is still at large? Is it what's preventing Yana from resting in peace on the other side?
In the room, I saw Yana's spirit. Why can't you find peace? I don't understand. Yana can't move on to the other world because of some woman's revenge. But what does the love card have to do with it?
I saw a woman in black bending over a pit where Yana lay, and she seemed to be repeating a sinister curse. If only I had known then that I would soon look into the eyes of that woman.
The psychics head to Yana's grandmother's home, where she last saw her granddaughter alive. Yana's family and concerned locals are already waiting for them there.
Hello.
Hello. We've been waiting for you.
Please take our condolences. Losing a daughter and constantly seeing her spirit nearby is awful.
Yes, it feels like she's trying to say something.
Tell me, have you considered that the police might have detained the wrong person for Yana's murder?
We have our suspicions, but we'd like you to look into it from your perspective as well.
It turns out that the family's doubts were caused by the witness who pointed out the murderer to the police. According to him, the crime took place between the 4th and 5th of July.
I have numerous expert opinions now. The murder couldn't have happened between the 4th and 5th. It's impossible.
According to the expert examination, Yana died on the night of June 29th to 30th, the same night she disappeared. But how could the witness be wrong about the date of the murder by 5 days? Yana's family is skeptical that the teen's account was truthful. Could he have lied about the murderer?
I don't want an innocent person. I want the real killer.
I'd like to summon your daughter's spirit. Yana is here. She looks incredibly like you, Jana.
We were so much alike. She dressed like me and wore makeup like me.
You and your daughter even had the same body art.
A tattoo, a Chinese character. She copied me in everything. We were like twin sisters.
The mother's words about her daughter copying her surprised me a lot. People usually say that about friends or rivals, but not their own children. Something wasn't right.
Suddenly, I saw Yana's spirit giving a strange look at her mother and grandmother. Then she pointed to her dress. Yana is pointing to her dress for some reason. It's long and black and white.
We buried her in that dress. We bought her some clothes, a beautiful dress, and shoes.
Yana's grandmother still recalls the day of her granddaughter's funeral with pain. Because Yana's body lay in the heat for over 10 days, it changed significantly. The mortician couldn't even dress her.
He said, "It's impossible to dress her."
I feel that Yana is pointing to the dress because you're extremely worried about it.
We doubted if they'd put the dress into the coffin.
The grandmother persuaded the mortician to at least cover the body with the dress. And now she's worried that he might have forgotten her request.
Don't worry, your granddaughter was buried with both the dress and the shoes. It turns out Yana pointed to the dress to reassure her grandmother. Yana, tell me, is the person who took your life the young man who's behind bars now? She nods. Yes. But why are you still here?
So, the witness to the crime was not mistaken and indeed identified the real murderer of Yana. But why then did he give a false date for her death?
I feel that the teenage boy was forced to give such testimony. The uniformed people did this to cover up their own mistakes.
Later, we found out that the forensic expert who first examined Yana's body was either negligent or had other reasons for being wrong about the date of death by more than 5 days. The error was discovered during a subsequent examination.
The witness was probably pressured because of this false examination to ensure there were no discrepancies in the case.
But it no longer mattered to us. After all, Yana's spirit told us that her murderer was behind bars. So the question was why she was still bound to this world. Yana, show me why you're still in the world of the living. Because of whom? I don't understand it. She's standing behind you, Jana, and seems to be pointing at you.
Is it possible that Yana can't find peace because of her own mother?
Now my jinns are telling me that it's all about the words spoken over Yana's body. I see a picture. A torn pit resembling a grave. Suddenly, I remembered the vision I had at the beginning of the investigation. A woman in black bending over the pit where Yana lay, repeating some kind of incantation. Tell me, did you notice anything strange during your daughter's funeral?
No.
But who is the woman and what pit did I see?
Could it be the place where her body was found?
Where was Yana's body found?
They found her in a ravine. She was buried there.
I need to see that place.
And I decided to perform a ritual and work with Yana's personal belongings. I saw pictures. Little Yana held a ring in her hands.
She gave me a ring when she was little. Let me bring it now and show you. It's a simple ring, but it's now more precious to me than anything.
She's more than a granddaughter to you. You raised her instead of her mom. Basically, she spent her childhood with you.
Yes. My daughter stayed alone after divorcing her husband, and she had to go to work.
Grandma was like a mother to Yana. I worked all day long. I was only home on weekends. We barely saw each other.
It turns out that Jana got married very young, at 17, and gave birth to a daughter. But family life didn't work out. The couple divorced, and the young mother was left alone with the baby.
She went to a trade school, graduated from it, and started looking for a job. When Yana started school, I told her, let her stay with me. I will make sure that she studies well, and I'll pick her up after classes. That's how she stayed with me.
Strangely, on my way to the murder scene, I also saw little Yana. The frightened girl sat in the corner of a room, and someone held a pair of scissors or a knife in front of her face. I only heard her crying and the word "Mom."
What happened in Yana's childhood, and how is it connected to her spirit constantly appearing to her family?
At that moment, I had another strange vision from Yana's past. She stood in a wedding dress, holding the hand of a young man in a groom's suit. Was she married?
Yes, we have the wedding photo.
Yana got married when she was 20. She met her fiancé, Dima, at her previous job. She worked as a hairstylist for a long time in one of the beauty salons.
She met him there. He worked next door, and he started courting her.
It was a great love. She was happy.
Yana became pregnant a few months after the wedding. But at the 5th month of pregnancy, during a routine visit to the doctor, she heard the terrible news. The fetus had died.
The loss of the baby was the final straw in their family life. The marriage fell apart.
They started fighting even over non-significant things. They were really depressed.
The couple divorced. However, after Yana's funeral, Dima told the family that he still loved his ex-wife.
He came to the funeral and cried bitterly, repeating, I don't know how to live without her.
And then the cards suddenly showed me that Yana mourned the death of another child in her life. Wait a minute. A boy? Did you have any small boys who died?
No, never.
But I clearly sensed that Yana had mourned a boy and he had also been murdered.
Who is that dead boy? It's amazing that Hayal Alekperov, almost simultaneously with his colleague at a different location, also felt another murder.
When I stand here, I clearly feel the energy of the murderer. And you know, he has not only Yana's blood on his hands, he also took another life.
This is incredible. Could the young man who brutally murdered Yana have been a serial killer? And could his victim be the boy that Jana Shulikova sensed Yana had been mourning?
I'd like to perform a little ritual. Such awful visions. Your daughter's body, and a young man leaning over it.
Is it Yana's murderer?
Yes. I see him whisper something over your daughter's body. And he's naked for some reason.
Did he rape her?
According to what I sense, there was no rape, and the boy didn't undress for that reason. But why then? Because I clearly see him standing in the moonlight, and his face, body, and hands are covered in your daughter's blood. Now there's another vision, a knife stuck in a tree, somewhere here, nearby. But it's not the knife that killed Yana. It was made specifically for some purpose.
It turns out that there is such information in the case materials. During one of the interrogations, the crime witness said that the murderer threw the knife he used to kill Yana into a nearby body of water. However, near the victim's body, the police found a different knife, but the examination did not find traces of the victim's blood on it.
Why does the murderer need two knives? One of which he left sticking in a tree near Yana's body. Perhaps it was some kind of ritual. I've heard of certain occult rituals where two knives are used. One knife kills the victim, and the spirit of the deceased is bound to the other knife, making it a ritual knife and the spirit its servant. Could this be the case? Hold on. The energy of this place is very strange. It feels like innocent blood has been shed on this wasteland more than once.
Bald Hill is a mystical place in this town. People who know magic often perform magical rituals and ceremonies there.
Yana was found murdered in an occult place. The culprit stood naked over her body for some reason. And the 2 knives. It really looked like some kind of terrible ritual.
Watch in the next episode. The victim's spirit will reveal a horrifying secret.
Yana is showing me a boy in the water. He's flailing and screaming loudly, and a man, seemingly insane, is swimming after him.
The little boy's death is only the beginning.
Don't miss out. The psychics will uncover a series of gruesome deaths among Yana's school friends.
2 of Yana's classmates are already dead, and she was the 3rd. But what's the connection?
I'd never had anything like that in my practice. I was shocked.
If you're impressed by this story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Many more stunning investigations are coming up.